Welcome everybody to my live stream. My name is Amista Bennett, and I am doing readings for people who show up in the room today. We're going to start with a reading that is what is our best manifestation advice for anybody who stumbles across this video. Whether you come in while I'm live or whether you come in later on, this is still going to apply to you. It's going to be our best manifestation advice over the next 24 hours. So be thinking about what it is that you'd like to manifest. Doesn't have to be something you're going to manifest that quickly. Can be something even bigger. And get some of your energy on these cards, even if you're watching after the fact. Spirit's not limited by time or space. So by focusing on what you want to manifest, that does put your energy on these cards, even though the cards are technically already shuffled before you get here. Show empathy. Hey, welcome. Glad you're here. How are you, my friend? This is like your second time back already, eh? All right, so I do want to clear my other deck too, actually, before we get started. I like to have a clarifier deck cleared as well as the primary, just in case. Cheryl, for good afternoon, I should say. I'm glad you are good, Show empathy. I am fantastic, thank you. The weather is perfect. The sun is out. I'm breathing. I'm alive. I get to do what I choose to do today. I just don't know how things get better. How do things get better? Cheryl, how are you? All right, so here's going to be our first spread. Ooh, thanks for the thumbs ups already, guys. I appreciate that so much. Y'all are fantastic. If you know somebody else who would like to have a quick little freebie reading, feel free to share this video with them. That would be great as well. I'm just trying to grow this channel right now. I'm glad to hear that you are great. Woohoo! All right, so manifestation. What is our best manifestation advice over the next 24 hours? Let's find out. Boop, do. All right, this is funny. Okay, so we start with the Six of Coins. And for me, the Six of Coins talks about this idea of somebody making things reciprocal with us, okay? So for me, this talks about I do a reading and somebody pays me for the reading, okay? This may be that you're selling a product or you're selling some kind of service. This may be even if you're loaning somebody something and they're bringing it back, but this is making something reciprocal, okay? Now, that's what we see here. I think somebody is making something reciprocal with you, because if it was in reverse, that would be you paying somebody off or paying somebody back, okay? So this is somebody making something reciprocal with you. So in other words, they are paying you. And we have this followed by the 10, which would be the Wheel of Fortune. I don't know why I couldn't think of the word wheel for a second. But the Wheel of Fortune talks about opportunities coming in and us being able to take advantage of those opportunities. Like we're ready, you know. Like for me, if somebody called me and they wanted a reading and I wasn't feeling well, I would probably say, I can't do that reading today. I need to reschedule for a couple of days from now to make sure that I'm feeling up to snuff and I can really do a good job for you. So that would be different than the wheel right side up. This says I'm able to take those opportunities. So far what we have for everybody for manifestation advice is this idea of having something happen where somebody's making things even with you. They're paying you for whatever you're doing or whatever you're selling, basically. And this says we've got opportunities coming in for that. So we've got opportunities coming in where somebody could be paying us back for something that we're doing. Okay, now the last card is the one that I laughed at. This card says, don't go anywhere. This is the Chariot in reverse. So this says those opportunities are coming in Make sure you're in that right place to receive those opportunities, and then don't go anywhere. For me, right now, since I'm not working at the store, that's home. So in this example, using me as an example, but this is actually going to apply to anybody who sees this video, but using me as an example, this would say don't go anywhere, stay home so that when somebody calls you or texts you and they need a reading, you're right there. You can do it. You can't don't have to say, "Oh, give me a few minutes. I'm at the grocery store," or whatever. So this is spirit telling me stay home. And for you guys, it's stay put. Wherever your opportunities come into you, stay put there. Don't get discouraged. Don't think, oh, nothing's really happening. I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to run errands, whatever. Nope, stay right where you are. Allow those opportunities to come into you by staying right where you belong to receive those. All right. So I hope that makes sense for everybody here. And I hope that makes sense for everybody showing up later as well. I definitely know how that applies to me. My car is going to be staying in park today. All right, so next up, we're going to do some personal readings. How many people do we have in the room right now who would like to have a reading? If you would like to have a reading, say so. Right now, I'm having a hard time trusting YouTube's numbers. Cheryl Ford would like to have a reading. Okay. All right. Well, Cheryl, do you have a specific question for me, or do you want a message from Spirit? I'm just feeling so good today. I just feel like, yay, I get to do what I want, what I love to do. I have not felt this good in a long time. My dad was in the hospital the last few days. He got out yesterday. I think that might have something to do with it. I'm just feeling lighter than usual right now. Message for Cheryl Ford. Miss Cheryl. Okay, still using the vice versa deck like I used yesterday. What we have showing up for you is Five of Cups. We're seeing that side. So this is some kind of disappointment that happened in the past. Look at that little rose that's growing out of the ground behind that person's back. So this is telling me that, yeah, there was some kind of disappointment in the past, but it did end up bringing out something good after all, even though you might not have seen it at the time. You might be able to see that now in retrospect. And we've got, covering that, we've got the Six of Wands. So it's interesting that this talks about the idea that you've done something that not only benefits yourself and others, but also this talks about the idea of people letting you know how much they appreciate what you've done, the energy and the effort that you put in for whatever this project was. Now, that's an interesting card to cover the disappointment. It almost comes up to me like the way we were seeing the rose on the bottom of the disappointment card comes up to me like somebody did appreciate the energy and the effort that you put in on whatever this is that benefited more than just you, but it wasn't the person that you were hoping would notice and appreciate it. It was somebody completely different. So there's disappointment there, but there's also somebody is appreciating this. So isn't that interesting? Let's look at your best advice or heads up around this situation, best insight. Okay. We have the Ace of Wands in reverse. Not too surprising if there's somebody that doesn't appreciate what we were doing and we were hoping they would. We may not feel like we want to do that again. All right. Now, This is very interesting. We've got a King of Wands coming up here in reverse. Well, I shouldn't say in reverse, that side. And we have a Queen of Pentacles that side. So basically, this is saying it's really an awareness. It's bringing you to an awareness of what has you feeling the way you're feeling about this situation. So this awareness is saying, man, I don't feel like doing this thing again. Well, what's this thing? Well, this thing has to do with the King of Wands. This thing is a King of Wands type of thing to do. So this is something that you did that was, you were moving outside the box to find a solution. With the King of Wands here, you were being a little bit creative to make some things happen. And you might have even pulled a few strings with your enthusiasm and with your personality to make some things happen. And with the Queen of Pentacles, this talks about that this was something nurturing that helped somebody in a very material way for you to do this. Okay? And so now, I'm not doing that again. I'm not helping somebody out like that again. I'm not going to all that trouble. Now, will you help out the person that appreciated it? I don't know. I think this has more to do with the person that you're feeling disappointed because they didn't notice or recognize that you put in energy or effort to actually help them, even though somebody else appreciated it. So this is just Spirit making you aware of this is why you feel that way. You're feeling like not doing this because if the person that you're doing it to benefit doesn't even notice it, what's the point? That's where you are right now. And Spirit's just, whenever we have these messages from Spirit, these are just things that Spirit wants us to be more aware of so that we can think them through a little bit more clearly rather than acting on autopilot. So I hope that makes sense for you. Thank you, and glad Dad's home. I appreciate that. I am very glad he's home too. Hakeem the Dream, good afternoon. What a name. That's a big name to live up to there, buddy. You're quite welcome. What does the future hold between Izzy and I? Oh, hate's a pretty strong word, isn't it? Right now, we've got 3 people in the room. Thank you all for the thumbs ups. I appreciate that. I'm going to pick a number between 1 and 6, and I'm writing it down and circling it right now. Whoever picks that number and puts it in the comments first is going to be the next person that I read for. Number between 1 and 6. 3 is not it, but you can try as many times as you want until we get to the number. La da 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 la da 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 da. Here we go, Hakeem. You have the reading, my dear. So I'm assuming you want me to answer the question about Izzy, or do you want a message from Spirit? Boop-a-doo. Do you want to see what Spirit wants to say to you, or do you want to know about the future of you and Izzy? About Izzy. Okay. What does the future hold between Izzy and Hakeem? What does the future hold as far as Izzy and Hakeem go? What should Hakeem expect from Izzy moving forward? I don't think you should expect much, actually. Yeah, I don't think you should actually expect very much from Izzy, okay? So we start off with the 6 of Wands showing up in reverse. This means that she doesn't really appreciate you for who you are and the things that you have to offer. She's not seeing those things as being really great at all. Two of Cups in reverse basically says that she used to be really drawn to you and drawn in and attracted and wanted to spend more time with you. Now, not so much. So, in other words, she was kind of telling you the truth whenever she said that she was unhappy with you. And I'm paraphrasing completely. Um, with this Knight of Wands showing up in reverse, this says that she's kind of out there checking out, other possibilities, shall we say. With this Six of Coins in reverse, this is an interesting thing because I think that this means that if you have anything of Izzy's, I think you're going to end up returning it to her or trying to return it to her just to sort of get loose of any attachment or any bond, especially after she's been, out checking out other options. And then with the Chariot, I think that she's going to be moving on. That's what I think you should expect whenever it comes to Izzy. I think that that's a done deal. That's a done deal is what I would say. Other than if you have anything of hers getting it back to her, that's a done deal. Or it may be that if she has things of yours, she may bring them back. But either way, once that's done, I don't think you guys have any reason to communicate with each other again, really. At least not as far as romantically. All right, so we've got 3 people in the room. I'm going to pick a number between 1 and 6. And I'm going to read for whoever puts that number in the chat first the next time. Number between 1 and 6 gets you a free reading here in the live chat. Anna Philippa, 4 is not it, but you can keep putting numbers in the chat until we get a winner. So you get as many guesses or intuitive hits as you want. Number between 1 and 6. 1 is not it. 3 is not it. Number between 1 and 6. Hello there, Chanel. Welcome back. 4 is not it. Wait, 4 is not it? Yeah, 4 is not it. 2 is it. Anna Philippa. I think this is your first time in the room. That's beginner's luck right there. So, Anna, do you have a specific question for me today? Or do you want me to see what Spirit wants to talk to you about? I call that a message from Spirit. If you have a specific question, put that in the chat box. If you want a message from Spirit, just put message from Spirit in the chat box. Boop-a-doo-doo. Second choice. Okay, so a message from Spirit. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Okay. All right. Message from Spirit for Miss Anna. So since this is your first time in the room, I'm going to kind of go over how this works. My message from Spirit, the first 2 cards are going to be the situation Sacred Spirit wants to talk to you about. I don't choose the topic. Ooh, thank you for that heart. I appreciate that. And then after that, you also need to know I also don't choose the time frame. So Spirit has chose things from the past before. Usually they choose things in the present. Every once in a while, something from the future will pop up. You'll know what time frame this is. I won't. Okay, I won't be able to tell. So I'm going to act like it's the present because the cards are in front of me right now. That's how I'm going to speak. But you'll know if it's past, present, or future. If you don't recognize it, obviously it's future. And future for me usually happens within 2 days on this type of spread. Boop-a-da-doo-doo, Anna Philippa. Alrighty. Let's take a peek at what you have. We show up with the Page of Swords. And by the way, this is my vice versa tarot, so it has a front and a back. So this is this side of my Page of Swords. This talks about news or information, and it's news or information that you want to have. It helps you make a decision. It's not trivia. It's important stuff to help you make a decision, okay? Now, this news or information card is covered by a card, and it's that side of a card of the page, Page of Pentacles. So it looks like there was something in the past where you heard about some kind of mm, news or information about material goods, something very material, maybe even money. And this was good news about material goods or about money. So, with that covering my Page of Swords, this side of my Page of Swords, this means that you have heard, you understand now, you've heard some information about why you got that good news about money or material goods. Okay, so previously you got good information about money or material goods, and then after that you heard about, well, why did that message come in? Okay, now let's look at your best advice or heads up or insight around this situation. We have the Ace of Wands showing up here. This is talking to me about some kind of inspired idea that you have a lot of enthusiasm around. And we have the Queen of Pentacles showing up that side in reverse. This is telling me that this idea that is a current idea, because I've got vice versa, I can tell more about time frame. This would be a more current or a more futuristic type of idea, that in the past you had this idea before, but you weren't interested in pursuing it. Now you're feeling very enthusiastic about it, but it looks to me like you're still walking away from it because it's taking too much of your energy or your effort. So we still see you walking away from it now, even though now you're more excited about this idea. And it looks to me like there's something going on, even though somebody agreed to help with finances or help with actually doing the thing. Now you're finding out what their motivation was, and now you're realizing, I don't want that kind of help. This is almost like a back to the drawing board type of situation. All right, so I hope that makes sense for you, my dear. Unicorn and rainbows. Hello, hello. That was kind of complicated there, Ms. Anna. Okay, awesome. I'm glad to hear that. And I forgot to tell y'all, if you listen and you notice that resonates, make sure you use that message. You could be having a piggyback message right off of Anna's. All right, so we have 4 people in the room. I'm going to pick a number between 1 and 8. And I'm going to circle it. And whoever puts that number in the chat first will be the next person that I read for today. 5 is not it. It didn't look like it, Ms. Anna. 8 is not it. 1 is not it. And by the way, guys, if you want a private reading, I do offer those, so you don't have to just get readings with me on the live streams. 1, 2, 8. Oh, who put up that 7? 7 is it. Unicorn and rainbows. I want to say that your name is Desiree, but I may have you confused with somebody else. Tell me what your first name is again, please, Unicorn. Crystal. I am confused, aren't I? Okay. I know I've pulled cards for you before, but I forgot. Okay, so Crystal, let's look at your question. Any practical advice or guidance from Spirit, please? All right, so that's a question, but it's not a specific question. So I'm going to ask that we narrow the lens a little bit. Practical advice or guidance about what? Are we getting practical advice or guidance about how to find a new job? About how to manage a move into a new home? about how to interact with a certain problem person in your life? What are we looking for advice and guidance about? Okay, then that is not a specific question. So we need a specific question, or I can get a message from spirit, which is just whatever spirit feels like talking to you about. What do you want to do? And now it looks like there's nobody in the room. She must have gotten a phone call. Oh, you are in the room. Okay. Okay, so message from spirit. My thing is showing 0 people in the room. I don't know what is up with that. By the way, thank you guys for all the thumbs ups. I do appreciate that, whoever is here. And also, if you know somebody else who might benefit from a little free reading like this, feel free to share this video with them so that they have a chance to get in on this too. Shannon Mary, hello, hello, welcome. Glad you're here, my dear. Do I know you from Facebook as well, Shannon Mary? Because your picture looks kind of familiar. Yeah, Facebook. I'm used to Facebook playing those kind of games with me, but YouTube, I'm not so sure. You're not sure if you know me from Facebook? Well, if you're not sure, then you don't, because you would know if you do. You would know. All right, so best message from spirit for Crystal. Okay. Here we go. Okay, 5 of Swords in reverse talks about this idea that you're being the peacemaker or you're being called upon to be a peacemaker. So this can be that there's been some kind of argument or debate flowing back and forth between you and somebody else, and you're the one that says, you know what, I'm kind of done with this. I'm dropping my weapons, okay? I don't want to fight anymore. Let's agree to disagree, that type of thing. Or it can also talk about sometimes the idea that you're the person who is sort of the mediator between 2 parties who are having trouble finding peace together. Either way, this is my peacemaker card when it comes up in reverse like this. All right, so you're being called upon to be the peacemaker, right? And then the 2 of Wands coming up here says that you have a couple of options in front of you, at least, maybe more, and they are all good. Okay? That's interesting. Okay. And so this says whatever you choose here is going to be just fine. So when you're doing the peacemaker thing here, whichever way you choose to go about it is going to be just fine. There's multiple ways to go about it. You don't stress out about the decision, just make a decision and move forward about doing this and how to do this. Okay? Now, best advice or heads up. This particular situation is one that even though you generally try to be peaceful, like you don't necessarily feel totally motivated to bring peace in this situation. Okay? You may be just tired of trying to keep the peace. I don't know exactly what, but with that Ace of Wands in reverse, this says, you know what? This is boring. This is tedious. It's wearing me down. I'm kind of tired of it. The 6 of Wands shows up as the idea that keeping the peace in this particular situation is something that not only benefits yourself, but also other people as well. And other people will appreciate what you're doing to actually keep the peace. Now, Queen of Pentacles in reverse talks about this idea that once you've got things to where they're in a peaceful situation in this particular thing, this talks about the idea of no longer putting energy or effort towards whatever that relationship is anymore. Like, okay, that's fine, but I am not being involved in your life. I am not creating peace anymore with this. And a lot of times we have this card because, we're creating the peace and then somebody else, we're trying to help somebody else and they end up shooting the peace straight up in the foot and sabotaging it anyway. So then we say, you know what? You're on your own. You're going to have to figure out how to keep the peace yourself. I think we all try to go about it in a nice way, you know. I think we all would like to keep the peace in most situations. And we also want to be able to tell our truest truth at the same time. So I think we try to be nice about it. Sometimes keeping the peace means you have to do some negotiating. Sometimes it means you just have to step away from the situation. All right, so we've got 3 in the room. I'm going to pick a number between 1 and 6. And I'm going to put it down and circle it. And whoever puts that number in the chat first will be the next person I read for today. Number between 1 and 6. Thank you for all the thumbs ups, by the way, guys. Let's see. 6 is not yet. 3 is it. Chanel, you are up. Do you have a specific question for me today, honey bunny? Or do you want a message from Spirit, Chanel? Everybody else be on the lookout for a piggyback message off of Chanel's message. If it turns out that what I'm reading for her ends up being something that resonates for you, make good use of that in your life. Please don't just throw it away and waste it. If it does not resonate, then kick your feet up on the coffee table, chill out, and see if the next one resonates for you better. How does Tejas feel about me? That's what Chanel wants to know. How does Tejas feel about Chanel? Okay, so I'm going to answer this, but I'm going to tell you ahead of time. Feelings are incredibly fluid. So this could be completely out of date 20 minutes from now. How does Tejas feel about Chanel? Okay, as long as you're aware. Well, this is interesting. This comes up that Tejas has decided not to put any more energy or effort towards you, basically, or towards any kind of relationship that you might have had. Look how that back is turned there. He's like, I'm done with this. However, his subconscious is not done with this. And I think that he actually has dreams about you, which leaves him really confused. He doesn't know which way is up whenever it comes to you right now. Well, apparently you guys are both dreaming of each other. He's really confused about that. Okay, let's talk about twin flames. Okay? Let's just talk about twin flames. Remember, the name of this video is Tarot Readings and Chat. So let's do a little chat part right now. All right? Because I think twin flames is a phrase that is severely overused at the minimum and abused is the more realistic way of talking about it, I think. Here is the thing. I believe that there are twin flames out there. That makes sense to me. That we would be trying to get as many experiences from as many different perspectives as we possibly can. And so, two bits of the same part of the divine energy would split off to be experiencing things from that perspective. That part I believe. What I think a lot of people have happen though is they get into these really toxic situations with other people. And because we're told that a twin flame comes together with its twin to heal them up from all the scars that they picked up as they had their different experiences through life, then we like to think once we get into a toxic relationship that we're triggering each other so that we can each heal to move forward. So we must be twin flames. All right. I don't think so. I think that we should all be doing our own work no matter what. And I think that a lot of people who are, more spiritually minded and have heard of twin flames, they get into these toxic relationships where they're both triggering each other and it's not working out well. And because it's a triggering relationship, they assume it's a twin flame and they stay with that relationship and keep trying to move forward with that relationship, even though they're both miserable. And guess what? We did not incarnate into this experience to be miserable. So, my belief is twin flames should be working on their stuff. We all should be working on our stuff. And when a twin flame gets together for the last time, that last lifetime, it should be because they've already got their stuff already worked out and now they can unify and actually help the world move forward. But as long as they're still helping each other work stuff out and triggering each other, they're not helpful to the world. So even if it is your twin flame, it's not time to get back together while you're still triggering each other. And a lot of people, because somebody says to them, oh, this is your twin flame, they try and they try and they try like heck on something that never should have been anyway and is completely toxic and makes them miserable. So I think that phrase gets really abused and people will put themselves in bondage because they've heard that phrase to describe them and another person when really that's not what we're here for. Exactly, unicorn. So that's where I stand with twin flames. And I had somebody that I feel really strongly about that because I had somebody that was like that, that people kept telling me, oh, you guys are twin flames. You guys are twin flames. You guys are twin flames. No, we weren't. No, we weren't. But it took me a long time of really trying to make something that was totally toxic actually work and put my whole heart and soul into making it work to realize, no, we're not. And this is miserable. And how many other people are staying in something that is completely miserable for no good reason, just because somebody said, oh, that's your twin flame? No, find somebody that makes you happy. Find somebody that makes you happy. You deserve it. Anyway, I'm going to get off the soapbox now. Let's see, who else can we read for today? There's 5 people in the room. I'm going to pick a number between 1 and 10. Write it down and circle it. Whoever puts that number in the chat first is going to be the next person I read for. Number between 1 and 10. All right, Shannon. All right, so let's see. 8 is not it. 3 is not it. 5 is not it. Is Shannon the only person that wants a reading in the room? 1 is not it. Maybe so. 2 is not it. Samil, welcome. I hope I'm saying your name right. 2 is not it. Try again. 4 is not it. 4 is still not it. 7 is not it. 9, it is. So, Shannon.Mary. What do you actually go by, Shannon.Mary? Because I want to use that when I do my reading. And guys, if you want to catch more live streams like this where I'm doing readings, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. Eventually, I will be putting videos on this channel, but for right now, this is live stream. Shannon, okay. Awesome. So, Ms. Shannon, do you actually have a question, a specific question for me today, or do you want to know what Sacred Spirit wants to talk to you about? Do you want a message from Spirit? If you have a specific question, put that in the chat box. And if you want to know a message from Spirit, put that in the chat box. Either way. There's a lot of just because somebody doesn't agree with me does not make them a bad reader. And same thing, just because they don't agree with you doesn't make them a bad reader or a karmic reader or whatever label you want to put on that. But I do think that we have to pick our readers carefully. It's very easy for people to scam in this industry. So it's always good to go with a reader that you've got a good track record with and you kind of know, whether you know them from a good track record of like somebody like me reading for you a few times online and being pretty much accurate, or whether you know them from in person. If you don't know a good reader from online, if you have a friend that's been to a reader that she thinks that reader is really good, or he, then that's the next best way to find a good reader. But it is really easy to scam in this industry. So here's the thing, Shannon. So I do specific questions or I do a message from Spirit. So if you're looking for relationship/marriage guidance, then we can look at like best advice for you to improve that relationship or that marriage, whatever it might be for you. Or we can look at some other specific question around there. Or if you're looking for somebody, we can look at best advice to help you find your person. But let's make it a specific question if you want to ask a question around that. Okay? Oh, I don't think people are hard to read for. I've never had somebody that I felt like they were hard to read for. I know that sounds like a lot of people will say that, but I don't have that. My problem is if I know somebody too well, I want a certain outcome. Like if I have a good friend that wants to know something, I want a certain outcome. So I may not be able to read very well for them, but I can also usually tell. I can be like, I can't be objective for you. You're going to have to find somebody who can. But I've never had somebody that, their wall is so thick that I can't tell, because the energy is always going to tell you the truth. Now that's a specific question. Okay. Let's look at your advice. Is it a good idea for Shannon to stay in this marriage? And if so, what is best advice for her around interacting with her husband. I'm kind of cheating. I'm putting 2 questions on one. I don't let you guys do that, but I'll do that. Okay. This is really interesting. So this is going to be a little bit of a complicated question, or a complicated answer, I should say. The question's pretty simple. There's definitely going to have to be some changes, but this is a strong yes to stay in the marriage. All right. So there's going to have to be some changes. Let's look at this. Let's start at the start. First of all, we've got the Queen of Cups showing up in reverse. Now, the Queen of Cups in reverse says that I am looking at, when I look at you, Shannon, I'm looking at somebody who has been putting up with baloney for a long time and trying to pretend everything's fine, babe. That's cool. Sure, go ahead. And maybe you've been thinking, if I keep putting up with this person will realize that shit is not cool on his own or her own, depending who you're married to. I don't know. And they'll start making some changes because they'll see it on their own. No, they're not going to see it on their own. Okay. Right. So this is actually getting to that point where you have put up with so much and tried to pretend it's okay, which, by the way, let's talk about that too. When we try to pretend something is okay when it's not, we're not really being fair to our partner because we're not letting them know this is a problem and we need to fix it. They're just la di di da da da. They're basically just walking through the forest while the wolf circles whenever we don't let them know that this is a problem we need to be working on. Okay. Hey, Teresa, welcome. So that's not necessarily fair to our partner to start with. So let's get back to this card. My Queen of Cups in reverse has put up with stuff for so long and tried to pretend that it was okay and not make waves and not rock the boat that now all of a sudden somebody's put the last straw on the camel's back. And guess what? She is having a volcanic emotional explosion. All right. So now when she has this explosion, the other person doesn't even know where this is coming from. They think you're exploding about this one little thing, this one little straw that got put on your back because they're oblivious. Okay. So if you've talked to this person and they don't get it, then your volcanic emotional explosion will be a complete surprise out of left field to them. But it will get their attention. I can guarantee you that because I've had these. I've got a whole lot of water in my chart. And when my queen turns in reverse, I am pretty scary. At least it seems like it when I watch other people's reactions. Okay. So this Queen of Cups in reverse is having that volcanic emotional explosion. And we can't plan this. I can tell you right now, we can't plan this. So if this hasn't already happened, it will be soon. And it will get his attention. Okay. Shani, hello, hello. Glad you're here. Okay, that makes sense. Now, what do we have here? We've got lovers in reverse. This says, man, we cannot agree. We're having a hard time agreeing on something. Okay, this could even be separation with my lovers in reverse. I don't have a Hierophant in reverse, so that's not a divorce, but it could be separation. It could be some time apart that happened or that will happen. And guess what happens when you have that time that you can't get on the same page, or that time apart, however that plays out for you? We've got the Eight of Wands, which says, oh, but there's lots of communication, lots of texting back and forth, lots of talking, but these are little short messages. These are not, we're having a sit down, a real come to Jesus meeting that's going to take 1 to 3 hours. These are short bursts of messages going back and forth. Okay? Now, what are those messages about? I do all of this stuff for this relationship and you don't even notice or appreciate it. And here's what I'm picking up. I think that you have plenty to say there. I think that your guy feels like he has plenty to say there too. And I think that that is going to be a real eye-opening experience for both of you to understand where each of you don't feel appreciated. I think that's going to be eye-opening for him. He's going to be like, oh my gosh. And I think that's going to be eye-opening for you. I think you're going to be like, I had no idea. These conversations are going to be pivotal to the idea of making this better. Now, we come up with the Four of Swords in reverse. Four of Swords in reverse is a change of scenery. This basically says, take a second honeymoon or take a honeymoon. Take some time away, but not until you've had these bursts of information where you're now understanding where each of you is not feeling appreciated. Take some time away. Maybe it's not a second honeymoon. Maybe it's a retreat for couples. But take some time away so that you guys can really focus on each other again. Doesn't even have to be a long time. A couple of days is fine. But the answer is stay in this marriage, but it obviously needs some work. Otherwise, you wouldn't be thinking about getting out of it to start with. And so Spirit is giving advice on what kind of work it needs. I hope that helps you. All right, so we've got 4 people in the room. How long have I been here? Okay, we've got 4 people in the room. I'm going to pick a number between 1 and 8. And I've got it written down and circled. Whoever puts that in the chat first will be the next person I read for. Number between 1 and 8. 7 is not it. 1 is not it. Thank you, Teresa. Let's see. 6 is not it. 4 is it. Teresa White. Okay, so Teresa, do you have a specific question for me today? Or would you like a message from Spirit? And thank you guys for all the thumbs ups. And remember, if you think somebody else would benefit from a free little reading like this, be sure and share this video out while I'm still here. Advice on your health. I try to avoid health just because I don't have medical lingo. I wouldn't know what kind of diagnosis to tell you to have your doctor look for. Okay, let's see what we got as far as general advice on health. For Teresa, general advice on health, please. So I want to put a little bit of context into this. Have you been given some kind of news about your health that is let's just say that you didn't want to hear. Okay, excellent, good. So we have the Page of Swords in reverse. This says it's probably time to talk to somebody about your health, like somebody who knows something about health and can do something about it. It's time to actually have a conversation with somebody. So not keep things like on the down low. If you're one of those people that like, I never go to doctors, might be time to at least go to a naturopath or somebody like that. Okay. But it's time to have a conversation about your health and about the fact that you've been feeling really low energy for a while. You haven't had your normal energy levels for a while. It's important to talk to somebody about that. Look at this. We have the Chariot in reverse. This says, don't talk to somebody that's really far away. So this would be like, don't do some kind of online consult. Talk to somebody, close, somebody that you can see in person. My King of Swords talks about this idea of there's somebody who could very easily be a doctor. And they're also somebody who could possibly even be a surgeon. But I'm going to go with this, talk to a doctor. A doctor that's local, that you can see in person, specifically about this idea that you don't have the same amount of energy that you used to have. And what we see coming up here is that being able to talk to a doctor about this brings you some satisfaction. My Nine of Cups is satisfaction and happiness. Okay, so he or she is going to have some kind of insight for you or some kind of solution for you that you probably didn't even realize was out there, that helps you to start feeling better and like you have more energy with that satisfaction card coming up. But it is time to talk to a doctor about it. Sorry, honey. I can see that you don't like to. Hello there, Dishi. Welcome, welcome. You're quite welcome. All right, so let's see. We've got 4 people in the room. I'm going to pick a number between 1 and 8. Okay, I've got that number written down and circled. Whoever puts that number in the chat first will be the next person that I read for. Number between 1 and 8. 5 is not it. 3 is not it. 7 is not it. Yeah, I can totally see that in the cards. 6, Chandni. All right, so Chandni, tell me, do you have a specific question for me? If so, put that specific question in the chat, or if you just want a message from Spirit, put message from Spirit in the chat. Everybody else, be on the lookout for a piggyback message. Not all of them have big fat egos. You just have to find the right one. But yes, I understand. I have met ones with big fat egos too. Sometimes, unfortunately, they're right. And I need to get my big fat ego out of the way. It's about my career. My brother is insisting for GMAT. What is GMAT? What is that? What kind of exam? What does it examine you for? Like, is it to help you find your best vocation in life or what? MBA. Oh, gotcha. Okay. For a master's. I don't know why, but for a second I was thinking NBA, which is like basketball. I was like, that's an interesting way to go. This makes a little more sense. All right, so let's see. All right. What would your best advice be for Chandni regarding her career? What would your best advice be for her regarding her career? Hello there, Simran. Welcome, welcome. All right, well, I don't have anything here about taking any kind of test or exam. I will tell you that straight up off the bat. This is interesting because the cards that are on the table imply to me that you know what you're into for as far as your career goes. You know what you actually want to do, or at least you have a pretty good idea. And I think the only reason that you're confused right now is because of your brother's input and the fact that he's insisting as if he's the boss of you. I don't know. And maybe where you live, maybe he is the boss of you. I don't know. But I think that's what has you confused is because he's so insistent and determined, even though you already know. Okay. So the reason I know you already know what you're interested in as far as your career is because we have this Two of Cups, which is the attraction card. It tells me that you know what you're attracted to. Look how bright that star is. That star tells me, like, I've got guidance. I know. I know that I know that I know what I'm happy with, what would satisfy me, what would make me um, joyful to be a part of as my career. I already know where I'm being called. I know basically what I'm designed to do by the divine whenever he designed and created me. All right. So you already know. Okay, Cheryl. Peace out, honey. All right. Now we have the Eight of Coins. So we see this basically says my Eight of Coins is my work card. This basically says you already know what to do to make money. You already know what your career is, what your career path is. Now, we have a Knight of Pentacles showing up in reverse. Knight of Pentacles in reverse says not taking action towards it. Okay. And the Judgment card in reverse says, I have this chance to move forward with that, but I'm not taking action towards it. With whatever this is that you are drawn to, but you're not taking action towards it. Well, why aren't you taking action? Is that because your brother is not allowing you to, or is that because he's got you confused about what you should be doing? There's something going on where you know what career you would be happy with, but you're not actually taking action towards that career. So, whatever it is your job is right now that has you in financial trouble, that's not even what you're being called to. What you're being called to is completely different because you're not taking any action towards it. All right. Now, with this card coming up in reverse or the back side of it like this basically says it's time to put the toxic decisions behind you. And it's really toxic when we don't pay attention to what's important to us and we try to swallow that and pretend it isn't there. And this also tells me that you're really afraid to tell your brother, look, that's not the path that I want to take. What I really want to do is blah, 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 because you're afraid of his reaction. And you're afraid to take action towards what you know darn good and well you're called to do because of your brother's reaction. And it may be very toxic with this devil card. But the advice is really just not even advice. What I have on the table is like, please be aware. Like, this is what's causing the unhappiness. This is what's causing the problem. What's causing the problem is that you know where you would be happy. And yet, you're not allowing yourself to go in that direction. It's time to take the bull by the horns and be really honest with yourself and really honest with those around you and start taking action in the direction that you're called to. And none of that includes an exam because you already know. Now, just because I can read those cards that easily and tell you about it that easily doesn't mean that that's easy for you to walk this path. This card tells me that there's a lot of fear here. But it also says it's time to face that fear. So I know that what I'm seeing on these cards is not easy for you to do. But it's time. This is make or break time. You can spend your whole life doing what other people want you to do that is not really anything that you're designed to do. Or you can start doing what you were designed to do. This is an important time. You have to make a decision. And the reason you're confused is because none of your options that you're giving yourself are what you know you would be good at. Johnny, you know what you're good at and you know what you like. You know what calls you. I saw that in that very first card. The only reason you're confused is because other people want something else from you. What you're doing right now is not what you're called to do, what you're designed to do. I wouldn't take a test, but I would start working on how do I get into the career that I'm called to. And I don't think it's going to be easy to tell your brother about that. I think it'll be even harder trying to live your life living up to what other people want from you when it's not what you want from you. All right, guys, so I've been here over an hour. It is time for me to go. If you guys would like to have a personal reading with me, I do offer those on my website down below. I offer 1 question or 2 question readings. Those are recorded readings. Those are $30 for 1 question, $53 for 2. Or if you want to actually have a live interaction with me, I do readings online or on the phone, whichever is better for you. For those readings, they are charged by the time that you need. And so 30 minutes is $100, 45 is $150, or 60 minutes is $200. And all of that is on my website. You can also see about my classes, my mentoring sessions, all that good stuff is there. And that website is in the description box below. Also, if you want to get my predictions for every week, for every sign, and I use Western astrology for this, you can want to sign up for my newsletter. That's also on my website below. And of course, if you want to catch more live streams like this, make sure you're subscribed and you've hit the notification bell so you know when I go live. And I'll be looking forward to seeing y'all again. Peace out.